All right, let's look how we can convert English measures. Okay, before we get started, there's something we need to understand is if we are converting from a larger measure to a smaller measure, and here we're talking about our measures, not our numbers. So if we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we multiply to get our answer. If we're going from a smaller measure or smaller unit to a larger measure, we divide. Okay, so these are the units I'm using. I'm using length, right? Mile, yard, foot, feet, inches. I have liquid measures, gallon, quart, pint, cup, fluid ounces, tablespoons, teaspoons. I have bushel, peck, and quart, and then I've got ton and pound. Okay, so when I'm writing these equations down on the paper, I'm referring to these conversions. Okay, so let me move that out of the way. Let's go to our examples. So our first one is yards to feet. Now here's the method we're going to use. Okay, we're going to underline whichever measure is bigger. Okay, so which one is bigger, yards or feet? Well, yards are bigger because 1 yard is 3 feet, so this is a bigger measure. So now we're going to write an equation using 1 yard, and we're going to write how many feet it is. Okay, so if we look over here, 1 yard equals 3 feet. Okay, now I'm going from a bigger measure to a smaller measure. Okay, so larger measure to smaller, I times. Okay, I'm going to take this number here. This is called our conversion factor, and I'm going to multiply it by the original number we're given. So our answer is 7 times 3, which is 21. Okay, let's go to the next one. 9 tons equals how many pounds? Well, which one's bigger, tons or pounds? Well, tons are bigger. Okay, so if we look here on our table, I can see 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So let's write that. We're going to write one of our bigger measure as a number of our smaller measure. Okay, now I want to know, should I multiply or divide? Well, I'm going from a bigger measure to a smaller one, right? Or larger measure to a smaller one. I'm going to multiply. Okay, this is my conversion factor, and this is the number I'm starting with. So to get my answer, I do 9 times 2,000. Well, 9 times 2 is 18, right? And I have 3 zeros. So my answer is 18,000. Okay, 72 inches to yards. Which one is the bigger measure? Well, yards is bigger than inches. So I need to write 1 yard equals how many inches? Well, if we look on here, 1 yard is 3 feet, and each foot is 12 inches, right? So that means 1 yard is 36 inches. So let's go here, 36 inches. Okay, I'm going from a smaller measure to a larger measure. Smaller measure to larger. I'm going to divide. So I write divide here. That's my operation. Here's my conversion factor. Here's my original number. 72 divided by 36. Well, 36 is half of 72. So that means, and you can do the division problem if you want to check. All right, but I want to leave the video focused on this rather than the actual division, long division process. 32 ounces equals how many pounds? Well, which one's bigger? Pounds are bigger. So I'm going to write an equation. 1 pound equals how many ounces? Well, let's look on here. We're doing weight. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So 16 ounces. Sorry, this looks like a 16 or something over here. It's 1 pound. All right, I'm going from a smaller measure to a larger one. Smaller measure to large, I'm dividing. Okay, my conversion factor is 16. My original number is 32. 32 divided by 16 is 2. Okay, now let's level it up. All right, we're going to do multi-step conversions. So when we can't get a direct conversion factor and we need to do several of them to get our answer. So 3 cups to tablespoons. Which one's bigger? Well, cups are bigger. Okay, so I'm going to write 1 cup. And if I look on here, 1 cup, I don't have a direct conversion from cups to tablespoons, but I do have cups to ounces. So I'm going to write 1 cup equals 8 fluid ounces. Okay, and now I have 1 fluid ounce equals 2 tablespoons. So 1 fluid ounce equals 2 tablespoons. Okay, well now I've got what I need, right? I needed tablespoons, so I can carry on with my conversion. I'm going from a larger measure to a smaller measure, so I multiply. and I'm going to multiply both times. Okay, I have 2 conversion factors, and here's my original number. All right, lots of things circled. Okay, so let's start. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. So that means that 3 cups is equivalent to 48 tablespoons. Okay, let's go down here for gallons to pints. Which one's my bigger measure? Well, gallons are bigger than pints, so I need to write 1 gallon equals how many pints? Let's look. Well, if I look at my chart here, I don't have a direct relationship between gallons and pints, but I can do gallons to quarts and then quarts to pints. So that's what we're going to do. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 quart equals 2 pints. And now see, pint and pint, I'm where I need to be. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going from a bigger measure to a smaller one. So I'm going to times, and I'm going to times both times. Okay, I have 2 conversion factors and my original number. Okay, so let's do it. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40. Okay, let's go over here. 16 cups equals how many gallons? Which one's bigger? Gallons are bigger. So let's write 1 gallon equals how many cups? Well, if we look over here, I don't have a direct relationship between gallons and cups. I have gallons to quarts, quarts to pints, and pints to cups. So I've got to do this 3 times. Okay, so 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 quart equals 2 pints. 1 pint equals 2 cups. Okay, now I need to decide, am I multiplying or dividing? Well, I'm going from a smaller measure to a larger one, right? Because gallons are bigger. So I have to divide each time. There's my operator. Okay, here's my conversion factor. So I'm going to do 16 divided by 4, which is 4. 4 divided by 2, which is 2. 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So 16 cups equals 1 gallon. Okay, last one. We've got 2 teaspoons equals how many fluid ounces? Well, which one's bigger? Fluid ounces are bigger. So we need to write 1 fluid ounce equals, let's look on here. We're going to teaspoons, aren't we? 1 fluid ounce equals tablespoons. I don't have a direct relationship, so we're going to need to do 2 conversions. Ounce to tablespoon, tablespoon to teaspoon. Okay, so 1 fluid ounce equals 2 tablespoons, apologies. 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. Okay, we're going from a smaller measure to a bigger one, so we have to divide both times. Okay, here's our conversion factors, and here's our original number. So let's do it. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. So I have 1/3 of a fluid ounce. Now, when you're doing calculations like this with measures, have a look in your book and see if it asks you to give your answer as a reduced fraction or as a decimal place. All right, my text asked me to do it as a reduced fraction. So I'm going to leave my answer as 1/3. I hope that helps.